Hey everybody, Tony D and Little Joan here with a Screenwriter's Rant on 8-Bit Christmas starring Neil Patrick Harris. All about the 80s and getting that toy you wanted. Smash like and subscribe. Thank you for smash liking and subscribing. Please check out my books. Links in the description. This is all about the Nintendo system. That feels a little bit like a 2-hour commercial for Nintendo. It takes place in the 80s, so there'll be tons of nostalgia. I am the right age for it. If I had kids, I'm sure they'd be the right age if they were younger. You'd want kids about the age of the kids in this movie, I guess. Any older, they probably wouldn't be interested. This is a funny character. He's sort of like a metalhead that's bigger than all the other kids. The bully, as it were. So a lot of the, tropes in these kinds of movies, but I can't help but notice that this movie, which comes out, when does it come out? November 24th. It feels a little, that's his buddy. They have code names on walkie-talkies. So you see they talk back and forth. I can't help but feel this is a little bit contrived. It feels like people who put it together, they're not really from that era. It feels that way. Doesn't feel like it's on the mark. Like Toys, A Christmas Story was so on it, right? It's so universal. There's a lot of stuff about the family. There's some stuff about the family here, but it feels like the focus is more on the video game and the kids doing stuff that kids don't really do. Whereas A Christmas Story, it really felt like the basics. Right? The real basic stuff that was universal. And I think A Christmas Story still holds up, even though it takes place in, I guess that's like the 50s, right? This, I feel like it holds up for me because I remember this era, and I'm sure it holds up for other people who remember the era. I can't see it holding up for kids, though. Like, kids would see this stuff, and it looks like their time. I mean, it's a little bit different, but the A Christmas Story stuff is so universal to me, and the focus in A Christmas Story is more on the people, and this seems to have shifted the focus more on the stuff, and I think that's a bad move. I think it'll help sell the movie. I think it'll do okay on HBO Max. Do I think it'll be a classic? I don't think so. I really don't. I think it'll be entertaining. Neil Patrick Harris is a funny guy. He's funny in movies. I think this is a good role for him. He's got kids as a funny 80s kid. 87, 88, I don't remember. There's the Nintendo. So, I think it'll be an entertaining movie. I don't think it'll be a classic. I think trying to recreate a classic is the first step into failing. You can't create a classic. You can't set out to create a classic. It just happens. Something's a phenomenon. It just becomes that. You can't just say, oh, we're gonna do 5 projects, and this project 3 is gonna be the classic. No, it doesn't work that way. You do 50 projects, and one of them just out of the blue becomes an instant classic for whatever reason. So I think the focus is wrong here. And I say that as, just as a screenwriter. Not in terms of the money, not even in terms of the entertainment. I just, the first act's going to be him and his family. First it's going to be Neil Patrick Harris's family, and there's going to be laughs there. It's going to be funny. And then it'll switch to the 80s, and there'll be a bunch of 80s jokes. And it keeps cutting back and forth to Neil telling the stories, and, maybe some of it's a bit of a tall tale. The second act will be about getting the Nintendo and the contest. They got to do some contest, which is also very 80s. And then the third act, there's a crisis. They don't get it, or maybe they do, and it gets broken. And then either the father buys them one, or they decide, it's more important just to be with family over Christmas. It depends on how they go. If they go with pure comedy, it'll be like Neil Patrick Harris tells this epic story, and his daughter at the end just rolls his eyes. rolls her eyes and says, "Oh, whatever, Dad," and like he's bought her a vintage Nintendo system and she could care less, and then he goes to play it because he really bought it for him. Like that would be a funny ending. The opposite ending, which is more likely, it'll be very sappy. It'll be like, well, you know, we didn't get the Nintendo, but we had each other, like, which would be a nice ending. You know, I think for A Christmas Story, it was also there was also a message in there: be careful what you wish for, because of what happens at the end when he finally gets the BB gun. So I don't know. It doesn't feel like it has that kind of heart. I guess that's what it's missing. It's missing a little bit of heart. You know, it just feels funny. Feels like it's worth watching, entertaining. I might even watch it on HBO Max. I have it for free. I wouldn't pay for it, but I suspect that I would probably never watch it again because it's missing that heart. I love A Christmas Story, by the way. If you haven't seen it, that's a classic. It really is funny, and it's just fun to watch. This feels like it's missing that heart, you know? I don't know. I'm just saying that by the trailer, Joan. You okay? All right, that's it for me, Tony D and Little Joan. Check us out on Bitchute and Rumble today. We got a news blast and a Hollywoke hot take. We will see you tomorrow.